you going, everybody? Now, sorry about yesterday if you didn't get a video online. It's because it was Father's Day for me and I spent it in the garden with my family, pulling weeds out. And I prepared another garden bed to plant, but before I actually plant it, I need to actually add the manures and that. So what I mean by preparing is I pulled out all the grass and weeds and things like that from the previous season. And now it's ready for planting. But before we do that, well, ready for composting, then planting, I want to show you these three garden beds, because these three beds here are all different in the soil condition. This one here is basically predominantly compost, a little bit of superfood and things like that, but it's sandy now. You can see that. See how the texture is? It actually forms, but it breaks away nicely. So there's not a lot of cocoa pith in here. We did add all our ingredients in all beds, but this one had more compost than anything else. This one over here, come over here. You can see the plants. I should have mentioned the plants. They're all our plug and plant varieties. That's our green and coral leaf lettuce or burgundy leaf. We've also got some chicory going over there, endives, and our spring onions. This bed here, look, I left one out. I didn't leave it out actually. You know what happened? The chook got in here, so I was away today, just got back now, and this was completely dug over. All the cos lettuce, these are self-germinated lettuce, folks, were dug out by the chook. Now they told me which one it is, the family, so it's an old boiler, and that's where exactly she's going, straight in the pot. So these lettuce, what I love about seedlings, folks, is when they self-germinate. Look at this mess, look at this, it's gone all over. She's kicked the fertilizer and compost all over the plant. What a mess. Anyway, they'll come good. One thing better than plug and plant seedlings, they're the ones you can buy as individual plants, is these self-germinated ones. These were sitting out in the full sun today with the roots exposed and all. You know what I mean by it? Like that. That's how I found them. Dug out and hanging out like that. I just came and put them back in now, and I need to give it a water, but let's talk about the soil. This has got our cocoa pith, our superfood in it, and a little bit of compost, and look how rich it is. It's beautiful, it's got texture in it, and I love it. It needs a water now because it's dehydrated because it was dug over by the chook. I don't know if you can see the dark area here. This is the light area that hasn't been dug. It holds a bit better because it's still got moisture underneath it. Now they all need a water, and we're going to give them a good water, and I have filled it in. So if you've got self-germinated seedlings in your garden, meaning they've come up out of the ground, they're going to be much better than anything you buy. Almost better than the plug and plant varieties. Come along. Well, this bed here, as you can see, has had a lot of straw added to it. This is the actual bean straw. There's pea straw, sugarcane, mulch, and other type of straws you can use in the garden bed as well. Again, endive, self-germinated, transplanted in there. We've got some more spring onions. These are baby self-germinated. I think today's topic is about self-germinated seedlings. Get your own going. One thing I did realise is with the mulch, the more mulch you put in your garden, it's great for the garden, but the birds love to dig it over. This was actually dug over again, so you can see how it's been scratched away. It was sitting all over these little seedlings just before. I've just pulled it away, but there were gaps everywhere, and that tells me the birds have been in here today, scratching around. So wherever it's freshly planted and mulched, birds somehow pick up on that and they come along and scratch even further, folks. So keep that in mind when you're adding mulch to your garden bed. And our garlic bed and endives that I've transplanted again needs some water. Jeez, it dries up real quick. This is what I hate about raised garden beds. They dry up so quick. So I've got to give these a water before the sun sets. And this will need mulch on top, like the bed next door there, next to our broad beans. They're coming into flower, and we've got leeks underneath these growing beautifully. They're doing well. They need a water now. I left it too late. You know, I tell you don't water late in the afternoon, but if you need to and you've got no other choice, water, but keep it away from the foliage. Don't wet the foliage. The soil should be pretty good. It should be holding its moisture, or its temperature, I should say, if it's not holding its moisture. And here, another bed with endives and spring onions and leeks as well, and more volunteers. Look, over there. Self-germinated cos, folks, and again, bean straw. This is the bed now that I'm talking about. It's been left to sit for about, I reckon 3-4 months. Rabbits have been here. There's a rabbit, and this is, it's gone sandy again. Look at it. It holds a little bit, but it's just turned to sand. So this is gonna need our cocoa pith added to it. Now, I don't think I brought enough to do all this area, with cocoa pith, you do 1 bag per square metre. And let's just start doing it anyway, so you can see what I'm talking about. So you've got different ways you can actually prepare your garden bed. You can get all the different ingredients, like the black grit, the cocoa pith, the compost, the superfood as well. Look, you can even use your own compost in your garden. I mean, it's not just about our products, it's about getting some good quality organic products in your garden. Now, I'm going to do it one by one as a layer, or you have the alternative to get the planting mix, which is basically all that I'm going to put in here plus more in one bag. So as far as black grit, it's a handful per square metre. You can go more if you like. I know people who use 2 to 3 handfuls per square metre. His name is Vass. I get a bit excited with the stuff, and it won't burn your plants, so throw that down first. So that's going to be in between all the cocoa pith and compost that you add on top. Next we add the cocoa pith. So we're doing, this is 2 by 2.5, that's about 5 square metres. Let's see how far a bag goes. Now remember, the more you put, the better the end result, meaning in the texture of the soil. If I don't put enough of this stuff in here, it will disappear when I mix it through. Yes, I've got the irrigation down. I'm going to work around it. I'm not pulling it up now. So that is, realistically, that should be 1 square metre, but that's 1.5 square metres, 2 square metres there. So 1 bag is not really enough for that area. So I'm going to prepare half of this bed now. So I'm going to go 2 bags of cocoa in this whole area here, nice and thick. You don't have to dig it in too far. Just scratch it through is all you need to do. Let me get a garden fork. You want to know what cocoa pith does? It holds moisture. It holds about 10 times its weight in moisture, and it keeps the soil aerated nicely. So it doesn't have the nutrient capacity, so its nutrient level is 0, pretty much 0, but what it does, it keeps the moisture in the ground by giving it a bit of body. And what does moisture do in the garden, folks? It puts life into it. So without water, there's no life in your soil. Absolutely no life. Have a look at the difference. This is sandy loam soil or sand soil. If I add water to that, it's going to bead on top. I'm not going to do it now, but if you've got sandy loam soil in your garden bed, I can guarantee you pretty much know what I'm talking about. So that becomes hydrophobic. It doesn't allow water to penetrate through, whereas the cocoa pith, instantly, as soon as you add water, it absorbs it and it retains it without becoming boggy, folks, without the bogginess. And that's what you want. You want the airflow through it, because the air is part of the whole composting process and biostimulant that you want to have in there. Now, this won't be a biostimulant by way of nutrient, but by way of moisture and porosity. And this, folks, well, this is the magic in the garden. This is our superfood, which is basically the soldier fly larvae frass, which is the composting process that they do, and it has the chitin in it, added into it, which is the exoskeletal shell of the larvae. See that there? That is what triggers the plant's defense mechanism to kick in and take care of itself when it's being under attack. It thinks it's under attack by having this in the soil, and that makes the plant a lot stronger. So if it does get attacked by an insect, it's ready for it. It is a biostimulant. It is one of the best biostimulants for your garden, folks. It will put the life back into your soil, and it can hold something like up to 200% in moisture. So it doesn't go hard. You don't put a lot, but it holds the moisture and it feeds the garden like there's no tomorrow. So let's put some in here. About 2 handfuls per square metre. Now, you've seen me in the past go crazy with this stuff. And that's because you actually won't burn them. You won't burn the plants, but you don't need to put so much. You don't need to waste it all. So this is 2 square metres, and I put a little bit more than 2 handfuls. I just like to get a nice covering over the top. That's that. And lastly, our compost, which we put on top. This is our recycled green organic waste, folks. Everything you need. It's almost humus-like. So this stuff here is gorgeous. This is a nice top layer. And at the end, once we put this in the garden, really, all you got to do is put your plants in there. So normally about two bags, I reckon, of this per, well, a bag per square metre. And I only brought a bag now, and I've got 2 square metres here. Yeah, it's a little bit short for what I need to do. I might have a bag lying over there. Give me a second. This has been sitting around for a few weeks out in the sun, so it's a little bit dry, but it's the compost from the same batch or the same process. There we are. Now we've got some body here. Now all we're going to do now is just gently mix it through. Doesn't have to be too much. Again, folks, you don't have to go through this process. If you want to use what we do or what I use, you can simply get the planting mix, which has pretty much everything that I've put in here, folks, plus the charcoal and manures as well. How cool is this? I love this. There we are. Now the soil's underneath. This is going to leach through. The microbes are going to kick into action, and it's going to feed the soil below as well. So you don't have to dig all the way down. It's lifeless soil around there. It may have some nutrient, but it's really not able to hold its moisture. And I don't reckon it breathes well either. Mind you, I've worked this soil every season, and it's turned back to sandy loam, sort of a boggy sandy loam, and I reckon the water doesn't go through it that easily. Look at the difference. Let me grab a handful. This is the old stuff. All right, boggy. It holds, it breaks away, it's not too bad, but that's nice. Come on, that's the texture you want. All right, let's just do a test now with the water, eh? Let's compare water. Let's see how much it pulls up. All right, I'm running over it pretty heavily. All right, let's go over here. Look at the pulling up already. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, once you hydrate it, you break the surface tension in the soil, but it shouldn't be like that from the first instance. But keep in mind, it's actually been exposed to the full sunlight for a long period, hasn't been worked, and it's only been rained upon, by the weather, so I haven't really hydrated it much. And these, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't even know if they're leeks or spring onions. No, they're not leeks. Yes, they are leeks. I can't remember now. I'm going to have to eat one. Anyway, the point here is, look, it's actually penetrating now through, but still it does pull up. So you don't want it pulling up, even if you've watered it well and it's hydrated well. If it still pulls up, you haven't got enough texture in your soil. It's too light, it's too sandy. Let's do this one now. Better not prove me wrong here. And we've got lots of cracks and ribs here. What do you call that stuff? Is it soaking? Beautiful. Nice. This bed here, folks, is ready for planting. So get your garden ready, because spring is here and our veggies are ready to go into the ground as soon as the weather warms up as well. So either you can do a mix yourself like this with your own ingredients, whether you've got your own compost, mulch, worm castings, make your own, always, and try and recycle whatever you have from your garden and your kitchen scraps. That's first and foremost. That's all about what we've got to do here. And if you haven't got that, well, you can get it as an individual product, or you can get a planting mix which has everything in it for you, ready to go straight into the garden bed, similar to what we've done with the raised beds at our garden centre in Coburg. For all this and much, much more, check out our website, vasilisgarden.com. Buy one, get one free on all Vasilis Choice products available to you. From me, Vasili Maresi.